Did you know that over 63% of Americans over 35 own their home, but 66% of Americans under 35 rent? Or that almost 20% of new cars in the US are leased? Many things in America that can be owned can also be rented, including tools, clothing, and sporting equipment.
So, 'tis better to own or to rent?
Owning is better, of course. You have full control. No, renting is better. Less upfront costs. No, owning. No, renting.
Owning.
Renting.
Enough! To own or not to own? That is the question. No, really, that is the question. I need help!
Ownership is legally possessing an item. Let's say you need a cell phone and it costs $1,000. If you have enough money, you could pay the entire cost all at once. For big purchases like a cell phone, you often have the option of making a down payment and then making monthly payments until it's paid off. Either way, in the end, you're the owner of that item and the value that comes with it. Owning something also allows you to resell it and recuperate a portion of your costs, modify the item, and, depending on the item, even rent it out to generate cash flow.
Ah, so 'tis better to own.
Well, there are some downsides to ownership.
What?
For starters, owning might require a large sum of money that otherwise might be invested elsewhere. If you take a loan to buy the item, you'll pay interest on the money you borrow. Additionally, there may be taxes and fees or maintenance costs involved. You can also lose money if your item is hard to resell or if its value goes down. Renting, on the other hand, is when you, the renter, sign a contract and pay an owner a fee to use their property for a specific amount of time. After the time is up, the property returns to the original owner.
Thanks.
Why would you even rent when you can own?
Let's say again that you need a cell phone, but you really only need it for 6 months. Paying $1,000 for something you only need for a short period probably doesn't make sense. Instead, you could rent one at, say, $50 per month, which means your total cost is only $300 for the 6 months. Renting will generally cost less upfront and have a generally lower monthly cost.
Sweet.
Plus, your monthly price typically doesn't change. Additionally, you generally avoid the cost of maintenance when you rent. And since there's no long-term commitment, you can rent or even buy something different at the end of your lease.
So, 'tis better to rent.
Well, renting does have its disadvantages.
Huh?
For one, you'll be making payments for as long as you have the item. And secondly, renting can cost more money in the long run. Renting that cell phone for just 20 months at $50 a month would cost the same as if you purchased it. Additionally, most renting requires you to follow certain rules with your item that can result in penalties if you don't follow them. Also, if you rent a house, the owner can decide to raise the rent or even sell the house.
Okay, if you're so smart, what's better?
Well, it depends. Say you need a new car and you decide to pursue the ownership route. Once it's paid off, that car is yours. Nice. However, it depreciates as soon as you drive it off the lot, meaning you lose value on your purchase, and you're responsible for all repair and maintenance costs. On the other hand, leasing the car will potentially cost you less money, but you will be limited on miles and have to turn in the keys when your lease is over. There are certain items you'll almost always own, because renting doesn't make sense. And there are also times when you'll probably always rent, because owning doesn't make sense.
'Tis a lot to think about.
It is, but here are some steps to help you make a decision. First, shop around. Whatever item you're looking to buy, you probably can also rent. There's a huge market for selling and renting, so there are no shortages of discounts, deals, and specials for both. As always, do your research and read the fine print in any agreement. Second, determine how the item fits into your budget, both as a rental and a purchase. This should include a consideration of your emergency fund, cash flow, and future needs. Think about your short-term and long-term goals, as well as the opportunity costs that come with either option. Third, weigh the pros and cons. If you only need it for a short time period or need to preserve your cash flow, renting may be better. If it's something you'll use often and even potentially use it to make money, owning may be better. Owning doesn't always mean you're building wealth in the long run, and renting doesn't always mean you're throwing your money away. It all comes down to what you need, why you need it, and how long you need it.
Whether 'tis nobler in mind to suffer the slings and arrows of monthly payments, or to have and to hold against a sea of debt, and by paying down end them, to pay, to lease.
Subscribe and watch more at PragerUkids.com.